People feel closer to nature by drinking cha. Cha.
茶
Hello, dear friends. I am An Fuyong from Hainan Normal University, China. I will be your tour guide to enjoy the journey of Chinese tea culture. China is home to tea, and tea is one of the necessities of Chinese daily life. Tea is not only a healthy drink, but also a symbol of Chinese culture of entertaining guests and an elegant art of life. This character is Cha. Read after me, please. Cha. How did Chinese people find tea? How did tea become popular around the world? Let's watch a short video together.
You are sitting in your house, waiting on your tea. After you make it, you take your sip and smile. You think the delicious flavour of tea is a great way to start the morning. But have you ever stopped to wonder who came up with the idea of mixing hot water and leaves? Now, let's start the journey of exploration of the history of tea. According to ancient wisdom of Confucius, tea nourishes the mind, body, and soul. He said that tea tempers the spirit and harmonizes the mind, dispels lassitude and relieves fatigue, awakens thoughts and prevents drowsiness, lightens or refreshes the body, and clears the perceptive faculties. So where does it all begin, you might ask?
During a long day spent roaming the forest in search of edible grains and herbs, the weary divine farmer, Shen Nong, accidentally poisoned himself 72 times. But before the poisons could end his life, a leaf drifted into his mouth. He chewed on it, and it revived him. And that is how we discovered tea. Or so an ancient legend goes, at least. Tea doesn't actually cure poisonings, but the story of Shen Nong, the mythical Chinese inventor of agriculture, highlights tea's importance to ancient China. Archaeological evidence suggests tea was first cultivated there as early as 6,000 years ago, or 1,500 years before the pharaohs built the Great Pyramids of Giza. That original Chinese tea plant is the same type that's grown around the world today, yet it was originally consumed very differently. It was eaten as a vegetable or cooked with grain porridge. Tea only shifted from food to drink 1,500 years ago, when people realized that a combination of heat and moisture could create a complex and varied taste out of the leafy green. After hundreds of years of variations to the preparation method, the standard became to heat tea, pack it into portable cakes, grind it into powder, mix with hot water, and create a beverage called mo cha, or matcha. Matcha became so popular that a distinct Chinese tea culture emerged. Tea was the subject of books and poetry, the favorite drink of emperors, and a medium for artists. They would draw extravagant pictures in the foam of the tea, very much like the espresso art you might see in coffee shops today. In the 9th century, during the Tang Dynasty, a Japanese monk brought the first tea plant to Japan. The Japanese eventually developed their own unique rituals around tea, leading to the creation of the Japanese tea ceremony. And in the 14th century, during the Ming Dynasty, the Chinese emperor shifted the standard from tea pressed into cakes to loose-leaf tea. At that point, China still held a virtual monopoly on the world's tea trees, making tea one of 3 essential Chinese export goods, along with porcelain and silk. This gave China a great deal of power and economic influence as tea drinking spread around the world. That spread began in earnest around the early 1600s when Dutch traders brought tea to Europe in large quantities. Many credit Queen Catherine of Braganza, a Portuguese noblewoman, for making tea popular with the English aristocracy when she married King Charles II in 1661.
That is the origination of tea and a history of its spreading to the world. Tea was originated in China. It was used first as a kind of herb medicine thousand years ago, and later as food, and lastly as a kind of graceful drink. Tea has been welcomed by Japanese, English, and the other people all over the world. You may wonder how a piece of leaf changes into the magic tea. Tea trees like warm and moist places, especially on the slope of the mountains. There are a great number of tea farms in southern China. In early spring, the fresh new tea leaves come out. Tea workers, usually ladies, pick the new tender leaves and carry them back. It's the first step, 采茶, tea picking. Step 2. The tender leaves are put on the large bamboo baskets under the sun to dry for 2 to 3 hours. This is called 萎凋, to wither. It's an important step to wither the tea leaves. It gets the leaves ready for the next step, rolling. What's more, withering step gets rid of the grass smell from the leaves, making tea more tasty. Step 3 is 揉捻, rolling the tea leaves. Traditionally, tea masters roll the withered tea leaves with hands, and now the tea rolling machines take their place. This step forces the tea juice come to the surface, which begin tea fragrance out. After rolling, the tea leaves become smaller in size, much easier to pack and to carry. Step 4 is 发酵, fermenting. Put withered tea leaves on the large, flat bamboo baskets and cover them with wet cloth. This lasts for 5 to 7 hours. During this progress, a chemical change takes place. The green tea leaves change red, and the taste changed too. The last step is 干燥, drying. The fermented tea leaves are dried under the sun, or by stubs, or electric dryers. Now black tea is ready. Let's watch a short video about processing tea. Let's look at the magic journey again. 采茶 picking, 萎凋 withering, 揉捻 rolling, 发酵 fermenting, and 干燥 drying. Here, fermenting is a key step. It changed the color and the taste of the tea. Without it, the tea leaves won't change their color. They are just green tea or white tea. In fact, white tea is light green, and the color is so light that we call it white tea. In addition, the degree of fermentation also makes a big difference. The slightly fermented tea is yellow tea, then oolong tea, then black tea, and the most fermented kind is dark tea, which has another name, pu'er tea. Different kinds of tea have different tastes and different functions. For me, I like drinking black tea in winter because it can warm my stomach. I like drinking green tea in summer because it can help me cool down. What about you? Okay, now let's watch a video about different kinds of tea.
China is not only a country that has a long history of tea, it is also a country that is rich in tea from the ancient time, with a great variety and a large distribution. There are 6 categories of tea in China, respectively green tea, yellow tea, white tea, oolong tea, black tea, and dark tea, ranging in the order of the degree of fermentation. Dark tea has the longest time in fermentation among these 6 categories. It is mainly distributed in Yunnan, Sichuan, Hubei, and Hunan areas. As it is very popular among nomads, dark tea is known as a drink of life for the nomads. Red tea also goes through a long fermentation and is mainly distributed in China's southeastern coastal areas. It becomes the tea that has the largest consumption quantity around the world by its own charm. Oolong tea and white tea is also characteristic and mainly distributed in Fujian and Guangdong areas. What yellow tea differs from green tea is still the fermentation degree. A little more fermentation makes yellow tea have softer taste. However, green tea is what Chinese love most and drink most. It is also the most widely distributed category, almost covering all provinces in southern part of China. Longjing tea is just a typical and famous one of green tea. Longjing is not only a name of tea, but also a name of a place, a village, and a well. According to what the ancients said, the well can reach the sea and has a dragon inside, so that's why it's called Longjing. The tea farmers in the Longjing village are all familiar with the well and love to chat with the tea lovers and taste the tea together when free. Longjing, as a typical green tea, is known not only for its fresh taste and appearance, but for its benefits to health as well. Even Emperor Qianlong described it as the first tea and wrote over 32 poems for his favorite Longjing tea.
Okay, these are the new words and sentences. Read after me, please. 红茶 红茶 black tea 绿茶 green tea 我喜欢喝红茶 I like drinking black tea 我喜欢喝绿茶 I like drinking green tea. Now the time for questions. Question 1. What kinds of tea are there in China? Question 2. Which kind do Chinese people like best? Question 3. Which kind is better for summer, black tea or green tea?